Okay, so today we'll be dealing with Python dictionaries. Okay, okay. So when you talk about Python dictionaries, they are largely data, a kind of data structure. So let me explain the difference between data structures and data types. Okay, so when you take examples of data types, okay, so data types, you are talking about strings, you are talking about ints, you are talking about floats, you're talking about bool, you're talking about lists, you are talking about dicts, you are talking about tuples, you are talking about any kind of data you can ever imagine, or date time, or you're talking about whatever it is, or let's say time, and so on and so forth. But when you talk about data structures, then you're talking about lists, dates, tuples, dates, date time, and so on and so forth. So you realize that all data structures are what? Members of what data types. Okay. So data types is like the bigger set, and all data structures are part of data types. But not all data types are our data structure. So string is not a data structure. A string is just a string. Okay. When you say data structure, it means the data has some kind of structure. So for a list, we have this, and you can put in elements like, let's say, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is a data structure. Each element has an index, um, and so on and so forth. This one can be considered like an array or a list. So it's a list. Or you can, in future, you can look at other data structures such as singly linked lists, like doubly linked list, and okay, let me just say linked list, and so on and so forth. So we've learned about lists yesterday, no, a day before yesterday, and today we'll be learning about dictionaries, okay, which is another important data structure you need to learn about. Okay, so from here, let me delete this one. So now, if you take a normal dictionary, like a regular dictionary, please do well to like the videos for me. I want to know if the audio is good. Yes, so is the audio content good? Then okay, so for Python dictionaries, it works like just a dictionary. Okay, in a normal dictionary, you have a word, okay, and the word has a meaning. Okay, so let me put a hashtag here. So we have a word is to what? A meaning. Okay, so when you go to your normal dictionaries, every word is paired with a meaning. Okay, and there is not just one word. Okay, so let's say word one would have a meaning one. Okay, then you can have word two would have a meaning what? Two, just figuratively speaking. Then word three would have a meaning what? Three. Okay, and if there can be words, let's say word four can have multiple meanings, can have a list, Okay, you can have meaning 4, meaning 5, meaning 6, and so on and so forth. So you can assign one word to multiple meanings. Okay, so in Python we call this key value pairs. Okay, key value pairs. So the keys and the values are put in pairs. The keys and the values are put in pairs. Okay, so we have key value pairs. So the words you see here are the keys, and after the semicolon is the values. Okay, so you put them in pairs. So a dictionary helps us store the keys and their pair. So for example, let's say you want to store a data. Okay, maybe store a data of students and their scores. Okay, so I would say I can do it like this: data is equal to, now you start with a semicolon. Okay, you start with a semicolon, then you put your key. So the first key may be the person's name, AMA, is to the person's score, let's say 69. Okay, so you realize that from here I've saved somebody's name and the score. Okay, I could have saved it like this. Okay, so I could have had another data called, let's say, data 2, where we have Kofi. Okay, then from Kofi we have, let's say, 77. Okay, so you realize that it helps you to store a key to a particular value. So now instead of having these multiple dictionaries, we could have had it like this. Let's say this is data 1. Okay, this is data 2. We can have data 3. We can have something like let's say AC is to, let's say, 90. Okay, so we could have had the dictionary. Okay, so we have AMA is to 69, Kofi is to 77, AC is to 90. So with this data, it's a special type of data type, and it's very useful. It is very, very, very useful. So with this data, let's say you want to find out, so this is a simple dictionary. Let me put it that way. This is a simple dictionary. So first and foremost, now let us learn how to manipulate dictionaries. Okay, so manipulation of dictionary. So first, let's look at how to call a value. So let's say if I want to maybe printing the score of a particular student. Okay, so for example, let's say maybe I want to print the score of Kofi. Okay, so I can say print. Okay, then I say data square. Just then you select one of them. Okay, so see data, then I can say Kofi. Okay, so from here we are saying that print this would go into, just like for strings. You see, if you remember, for string we put the semicolon, then we specify the index. Okay, the index. Okay, in strings we're specifying index, in lists we're also specifying index. Okay, where you can put 0, 1, 2, 3 and all those things, index. But in dictionary we specify the keys. So for date we specify keys, the key. So in here 69 is in position AMA, like logically. In list, if it was a list, let's say if this one was a list, we would have said data is equal to, let's say, 69, 77, 90. Realize that if I want to extract 69, I'll specify position 0. If I want to extract 77, I'll specify position 1. If I want to extract 90, I'll specify position 2. That is if it's a list. But since it's a dictionary, you use the keys to extract them instead of their positions. And take note, dictionaries do not have positions. So dictionaries are not ordered. Okay, so they do not have positions. So if you say data position 0, you get an error. Okay, so it's data Kofi. So when I print this is the output I get, 77. Okay, this is the output I get. So if I want Ama's data, I'll just put Ama. So I'll put the key in there, then it goes in there and it starts the data for me. Then if I want, I can say what's the last name? AC. Okay, so 90. So that is how you extract data from dictionaries. You use the keys. Now let us look at how to update a dictionary. Okay, using your normal method. How to update it. So if you say data and you call out Ama, okay, now and you say just as I did for list, you say it's equal to 88. This would update Ama's value to what? 88. Okay, so you're saying data Ama 88 will update Ama's value. Okay, so let us print data out. Okay, in this instance, let's print data first. So we print data, then we update Ama's value and print data again, then we check the difference. So the first one we printed, we had Ama to be what? 69. The second one we are printing, Ama has to be what? 88. Okay, so 69, 88, that's the data. Okay, so with this, you have data Ama, change Ama's data to what? 88, and when you print it, it has updated Ama's data. Okay, so be careful of doing this. But then if you don't put equal to a value, it will print out. Okay, if you say, let's say answer, something like this, and you print out answer, okay, it will print out Ama's data for you. Okay, so take note of these two differences. Okay, it goes into the data, fetch Ama's data for you, then it prints it out for you. Okay, so you can use this. And I think the data I showed you on my project. Okay, I showed you on my project how I use a JSON. I think today I'll show you how I use dictionaries in my project, the one I showed you guys. Okay, so any questions? Any question in the chat? Any comments? Please do well to like the videos for me. So do well to like the videos for me. Okay. Okay. So let me continue. So this is how to extract data and update data inside a dictionary. Now let us look at how to deal with dictionaries in for loops. Okay. So by default, if you say for I in data, data is a dictionary. Okay. For I in data, semicolon, print I. Now, intuitively, if you run a for loop, instead of the for loop will not print everything here. The for loop will only print the keys for you. To only print the keys, not the values. Okay. So if you run a for loop over a dictionary, it prints only the keys. So let us see what happens here. So realize that Ama, Kofi, and AC has been printed. Okay. The values do not get printed. Later on, I'll show you how to deal with printing both the keys and the values, or printing only the values and printing only the keys. Okay, so anytime you run a for loop, it prints only the values. So if you want to print the keys, I think you know how to do it. You can say data square bracket I. Okay, so it picks the key and you say data and puts the key inside the data and calls the name. So when we run this, we'll get 69, 70, and 90. Okay, so a for loop, the I, the iterative variable I, will only pick the variable names, okay, and print it as what? And print them. But then if you want the values, you have to say data, then you put in the variable name to get their corresponding values. Okay, so this has been done. And I repeat, lists and dictionaries are not ordered. Okay, they are not ordered. Even though we see Ama is first, Kofi is second, AC is third, in the computer's memory, it is not in order. They are not. They are just, they call them hash tables. Okay, so hash is like um, under AC is linked to 90, Kofi is linked to 77, Ama is linked to 69. None of them is like first or second or third or fourth or fifth. Okay, or in position 0, 1, 2, 3. No, that's why we use the keys to get these values instead of their positions. Okay, so now let us look at the methods of Python dictionaries. Okay, so before then, let me print out the methods. Okay, so when I run this, now from here, as I've always been saying, those with double underscores, you don't mind them. Now those up to here, so we don't use them. Now the ones you use here is what? Clear, copy. You know how to use clear to delete everything. Okay, and let it be empty. Copy will make a copy of it, just like we did in list. Then we have from keys, we have get. So this get is very important. We have items, we have keys. Okay, so we use keys, we use items, we use get. These three things are very important. Now I think you guys know how to do pop. We learned pop in list, and this is pop item, so I'll not stress myself on pop and pop item. Then we have this one, set default. Okay, set default. Then we have update. Then we have values. So I think from this lesson, I'm going to focus on these three: get, items, keys, update, and values. Okay. So let us focus on these methods. So the methods we are going to focus on are what? Get method, update method, um, values method, items method, keys method. Okay, so values, keys, then what else? Get, update, values, keys, items. Let me run it again and check. The last one, update is here, values is here, get, items, keys. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to focus on these five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these are the five things I'm going to focus on. But make sure you master how to use get. It's quite trickish, but make sure you master how to use get. So from here, let us start learning how to use each of them. Let me see if there's any question for me so far. Please do well to like the videos. Is there any question for me so far? Any question for me so far? Okay. Okay, so let's continue with dictionaries. So if you have a dictionary, let me go and copy and paste this one. Control V. Okay, we have this dictionary. Okay, now let us learn about how to use the values or the keys method. Keys method. Let me start with that one. Now the keys method, maybe you say, let me call a variable name called all keys. It's equal to data dot keys. It doesn't take in any input. Okay, so it gives you all the keys. These are the keys: Ama, Kofi, AC. It gives you a list of all the keys. So when I print it out, all keys, okay, this is, so it gives you what? All the keys. So the keys method just extracts all the keys for you, and you get it in a form of a dictionary keys kind of thing, data type. Or you can put it into a list to convert it to a list. Okay, so you can put it inside a list and convert it to a list. So you have a list of all the keys in the dictionary. Okay, so the dict keys, it's not compulsory to put it also in a list. So this one extracts all the keys for you. So that's the keys method. Then we have the values method, and it works like the keys. So you can say all values, okay, is equal to your data, the dictionary name dot values. Okay, so your dictionary name dot values. So this is, let me put the syntax here. So dict name dot values, okay, dot values. This one will return what? Returns all the values. Okay, then for keys, the keys method, it says dict name dot keys, okay, returns all the keys. Okay, so when I'm to print this one, print all values, let me comment this one out, then let me print it. We are going to get 69, 77 and 90. Okay, you can, as I said earlier, you can put it in a list, and we get everything in a list, in a pure list. This is not purely a list, it's a dict value kind of list with a list inside. It's not a list kind of data type, but it has similar properties. So if you put it in a list, it becomes purely a list. Okay, so we get all the values in a list as one. So sometimes maybe if you want to find the average score, so you can put all in a list. Then from here you can say sum all the values. Okay, when you sum all the values, then you divide it by the number of students, which is the length of all values. Okay, and this is going to give us what? The average. So when I run this, I get 78.666 or whatever. So I've been able to find the average score from this dictionary by extracting all the values, sum them and divide by the total number of values over there, and I get this data. Okay, so you can do a lot of things with them. Okay, so that being said, let us go and look at another data type. So realize that all dot keys, dot values are simple to use. Then now, so we've done with dot values, we're done with dot keys. Now let us look at dot items. Okay, so dot items simply means simply combines both of them. Okay, combines the values and the keys. So items method. Okay, so you mention your dict name, okay, dot items, there's an s, okay, returns a tuple of keys and values. Okay, so when you say a tuple, So okay, returns into brackets keys, comma values. Okay, so it will return them in pairs in brackets. Okay, so for example, let's say uh, let me call it all. Okay, I put the underscore because all is a special word for Python. Okay, so when I put underscore, it makes it different from what Python knows. So all, when I say data dot items, okay, and I print all with the underscore, this is what I get. So I get Amma and 69 in a set, in a bracket, as I showed here, key and values. Okay, so keys and values. So Kofi also in another one, AC also in another one. So if I want, I can convert this to a list. Okay, so we get a list of all of them. So when I play this, it's a list of all the pairs. So in here, we're able to generate the pairs. So Amma 69, Kofi 77, AC 90. Okay, we get all of them in pairs like that. Okay, so data.items list underscore. So this one gets us the item. Now let us run a for loop and let's see. So when we say for example, now let us undo. So let us use the methods we've learned so far. So usage of methods in a for loop. Okay, so for example, you can say for I in data.keys. This one gets you all the keys. Print what I. So when you run this one gets you all the keys. Amma, Kofi, and AC. Okay, which is the same as this. Is the same thing as this. If you remove the keys, by default it will pick the keys for you. Okay, by default it picks the keys for you. But if you put dot keys to, it doesn't change anything. Don't forget the S. It's not dot key. It's dot keys. Okay, so this value and these previous ones are the same because by default it picks the keys for you. But let us look at values. So sometimes if you need the values, you say for I in data.values, this one picks only the values for you. So it runs the values in a for loop for you. Okay, so for I in data.values, you get these values. Okay, then let us look at so we've looked at um, values, you look at keys. Now let us look at items. So if from here we say for I in data dot items, okay, for items it gives you in pairs. Okay, so it gives you the values in pairs. So Amma 69, Kofi 77, AC 90. Okay, so when you're using items, you get them in pairs. If you use keys, you only get the keys. If you use values, you only get values. If you use items, you get both of them. Okay, now because this data comes in pairs, we can use a double iterative variable. We can say for I, j, you put a comma. So for I and j, print what? ij. Okay. Now, this ij simply means that the data I'm expecting here is going to come in twos. Okay. The data I'm expecting here is going to come in twos. So assign the first one to I and assign the second one to j. If the data comes out to be only one, it will get you an error. And if the data comes out to be 3, it will get you an error. So since I know this data is in pairs, I can use a pair iterative variable here. So I will be assigned to, Amma will be assigned to I, and 69 will be assigned to J. So if you take note from here, when we run it, what do we get? We get Amma 69, Kofi 77, AC 90. If I remove the J and I run only I, realize I get only this. If I remove the I and I put only J, I get only the values. And if I put both of them, maybe J, comma I, Okay, I get both of them. So because I brought the j first and the I second, the values come, then AMA follows. So here the double iterative variable, the pair iterative variable will pick, you see the values that are coming here are in pairs. Okay, so for example, it's like we have I comma j, which is being mapped onto a pair of variables called what? Key comma value, or a data like that. So I will be equal to what? The key. So in this case, I will be equal to what? The key. Then j will be equal to what? The value. Okay. So I will be equal to the key and j will be equal to what? The value. So they'll pick from each other. Now, if there was something, an extra value, let's say, if there was an extra data, okay, where in this case it's not only two, there are three of them. So let's say key value status, let me just say status, then that one we might need three variables. Okay, so ijk, so each variable will pick, so I will pick key, j will pick value, then k will pick status. Okay, so if you have a for loop, you are running a for loop over a data that comes in twos or in threes, you can use multiple iterative variables. I just had to show you this trick so that you can use it in your projects. Okay, so for ij in key value, it will pick them one after the other correspondingly, then you can manipulate them. So in here, the j's, I can even put a percent sign. Okay, I can even put a percent sign on them. I can just say, string, convert it to j, then plus percent sign. Okay, so when I print them, they should have a percent sign. So I'm at 69%, Kofi 77%, AC 90%. Okay, so I can do that if I want to. So far we've learned how to use three of the methods, three of the important methods. Now let us learn how to use the most updates. Okay, how to update a dictionary. Then after that we learn how to use get. Okay, so update method. So with the update method, we have your dictionary name dot update. Okay, dot update. Then you put in a dictionary. Okay, a dict. So for example, if you say, now already we know that we have AMA 69, Kofi 77, AC 90. So we can say data dot update. Now you don't assign it to a variable. Okay, data dot update. So we specify what? Support key and get item. We specify the data. So we say maybe a new member is, let's say, Ajwa. Ajwa is to let's say 44. Okay, so this is a new dictionary. We want to add to the old one, we want to update into the old one. Okay, so let us run it and see. Then after that, let's print data and let's see if it has been added. So when we run this, we get Ajwa with 44 has been updated. Now take note, the curly bracket I put here won't be added. It's just updated, so to pick the content and put it there. Now if you remove this curly bracket and you do it this way, it's going to trigger an error. Already it's just showing you, it's going to trigger an error. Okay, or if you do this, let me see if you can do this. Let me run this. No, it says update expected at most one argument, got two. So the update doesn't need two arguments, only one. Okay, so if you want to put more items, you just have to populate the dictionary. So Ajwa 44, then you say Mensa is to what? 89, then menu menu is towards 15 and so on and so forth. Oh, yes. So all of them, it has to be in a dictionary, okay? So this is a key and a value. This is also another key and a value. This is also another key and a value. And they are in pairs like that. So when I run this, it updates all of them. So Mensa menu Ajwa AC Kofi Ama. So it updates, it adds the extra elements you need to add. But if you realize, but then there's another way of doing your update. Okay. For example, I could have also said I could have used the normal method data, then I put in a new key I've never used before, like let's say Momo. Okay, let me put Momo. So then I assign it a value, let's say let's say 100. Okay, so this key doesn't exist, but I've assigned it a value of 100, so it will be updated into the system. When I run this, I get Momo, which has been added to the system. Okay, so but this one only can update it one at a time. You cannot do it multiple times. Like, so use updates if you want to do a multiple updates, okay? But you can use your normal one to do this. But if you do this will give you an error, because without the equal to sign, you mean that the computer should go and extract the data for you, Momo. But Momo does not exist inside the dictionary. So you get what? An error. So I say equal to 90. That means now I'm telling the computer to insert Momo into the dictionary and assign it a value of 90. Okay. So this is another way of doing it, but this is a normal manipulative way of doing it. But this update is the update method that's used for doing the correct update of a Python dictionary. Okay, so I hope you've gotten it. So simply put, if you want to use an update, just mention the name of your dictionary name, dot update into bracket, then you put in a dictionary. The dictionary value will be updated to the list. Simple. That's all. Then now let us look at the get method. Get method. The get method can sometimes be tricky or very. Let me check. Any questions so far? Okay, so any questions so far? I don't think so. Please do well to like the videos for me. So do well to like the videos for me. So we'll be finishing the topic very soon. And so the get method. Okay. So when you say get method simply means that you want to extract a data from the list. Okay. I told you that if you have a list data, okay, and I want to maybe let me call it extract. So I want to take in a particular data from, let's say, Momo. Okay, I want to take in a particular data from Momo because Momo has been added from here. So I'll say data and I put in square brackets Momo. Then when I print extract will tell me the score of Momo, right? Okay, which is what? 90. So extract tells me the score of Momo, which is 90. Fine. But we can use the get method to get the information, just as we use this one. Okay, but I'll show you an advantage with the get method. Now, if we call a name here, let's say Kwabena. Okay, we call a name here, Kwabena, which is not in our data, and we've not added it anywhere. It will fail. It will give us an error. So you realize that key error, Kwabena does not exist in the data. Okay, so that's the disadvantage of doing it this way. If you put in a key which does not exist in the data, you get an error. You can only put in keys that you already know they exist, like AMA and the likes. That one would work. Okay, but if you put in a key that does not exist, it doesn't work. Now let us take a look at Let us take a look at get. Okay. Now, should in case I say data dot get, so get me Momo. Okay, get me Momo, and let me call this one extract. Okay, so let me remove this. So instead of putting this, I can say dot get ama. Okay, get ama, then print extract. Okay, so when I do this, it still gets me the value of ama, right? But if I'm to search for a name that does not exist, like Kwabena, it won't give me an error. It will just say none. So that's the advantage of using the get method. The first one I showed you, the normal one I showed you with the string concatenation with a square bracket, concatenation with a square bracket, that one, if the value doesn't exist, you get an error. But when you use the get method and the value doesn't exist, you get a none. Okay. So that's one advantage of this. And secondly, aside the key, okay, so in the get method, that's how we write it. We say dict name, okay. So we say dict name dot get into bracket, and you put your key here, then you specify default value. Okay. So here we say that get as Kwabena if Kwabena doesn't exist. Now let me let me print data and let's see. So get Kwabena from the data. Okay. Then you print out whatever you got from Kwabena. But since Kwabena doesn't exist, it will return none. And when we print out the data, let's see what happens. So you realize that it returned none. Ama 69, Kofi 79, AC 90, Mensa, Menu, Mom, and so on and so forth. It didn't. Kwabena doesn't exist here, but it still didn't fail. We just returned none. Okay. So sometimes you can tell the computer to go and get a value. If the value doesn't exist in the data, the computer should insert it. Okay, so a default integer, and maybe by default put let's say 0, or maybe by default yes. So hey computer, get me this person's data. If the person doesn't exist, add the person to it and put this default value there for the person. So when I run this, you realize that it returns 0 because 0 is the default. It didn't get anything. So instead of none, if you don't specify this one here, it will return none. But if you specify whatever number you put there is what, or whatever number or string or data you put there is what it will return. So it says ama, and you realize that where is Kwabena? Is there anybody having 0? No, Kwabena hasn't been added to the thing yet. So am I missing something? Okay, so it will return um, the default value that you put here, okay, which is 0. Okay, and we can also say that now since now in case you pick ama, okay, now ama already has a value here which is 69, so it won't return 0. It will return ama's value 69. Okay, so the get goes to get the value and returns um returns what, the value of whatever key you put there. If the key doesn't exist, it returns what? The default value. And by default, it is none. Okay? By default, it is none. Okay. So sometimes you might want the computer to update whatever it got. So I can put, let's say, I can put maybe if I look for a value like if I look for something like MTN, okay, and MTN doesn't exist, by default, you should put what? Um, you should put MTN with a default value of what? 0. I don't know why it's not appearing. MTN is not appearing here. Okay, so let me say +1. Okay, let me run this. I'm coming. Something is not right. Something has been changed. Okay, so I was hoping to see MTN in the dictionary. Okay, but I don't know. I'm not getting that. Oh, sorry. So we said I've remembered. Okay, so if you want to update it, let's say if you are telling a computer look for MTN in the data for me, if MTN does not exist, start with a default value of 0. But if MTN exists, add 1 to its value, whatever it is. Or you might not need to add 1. So we can tell the computer, hey, go and look for MTN for me and get me the value. If MTN doesn't exist, insert into the list, or if MTN doesn't exist, return what? 0 for me. Now we can, instead of putting extract here, let me comment this one out. Let me copy and paste. Copy, Control C, and let me paste it somewhere here. Okay, then let me put off this one. So instead of saying extract, we can say that, I hope I taught you this. You see this here, data.momo, the key we are looking for, we assign it a certain value. Okay, so instead of putting the value, rather do a get. Okay, so you can say here that data square brackets, then the same key MTN. So we are saying that go and get us the data of MTN. So get the data of MTN. If it doesn't exist, assign it, put it inside the data, and start with 0. So when I run this, okay, realize that MTN will be added to it with a 0. Now, if I put in a different key like Kwabena, okay, and I put in a different key here, Kwabena, okay, now MTN will be deleted. But now from here, you realize that the Kwabena is not in this list. Starting from here, Kwabena doesn't exist in this list. So the computer, if you write it this way, it would update the dictionary by adding Kwabena to it and putting it, starting with a default value of 0. Or you can start with a default value of 100. So Kwabena will be added with 100 because it doesn't exist. But then when we call out a value that exists like AC, nothing happens. The AC value never changes. It's AC. Okay, so when we call out AC's value never changes. It still remains the same. Okay, because AC already exists. So we are saying that go and look for AC in the data for me. And it found out that AC is 90. So it returns 90 to AC. And AC still remains as 90. But if we are looking for something that doesn't exist, like Jojo, okay, then since it doesn't exist, since Jojo doesn't exist in a dictionary, it would assign it what? A default of 100 and put it inside the dictionary. Okay, so we have something like this. Jojo will be assigned 100 and put it inside the dictionary. So this one looks tricky a little bit, but let me show you the structure. The structure is the dict name, okay, square key, okay, the key is equal to the dict name dot get into brackets the same key again, then the default value. Okay, so the dict name, we put in the key. This one will be updating. This structure will help you update a dictionary in case a key is not found. Okay, so to help you update a dictionary in case a key is not found. Then, but then this one we did earlier would only go and check in if there is a. This one will just check if the key MTN exists. If it doesn't exist, it will return 0 for you. So it goes to check if MTN exists in the data, in the dictionary. If it doesn't exist, it returns 0. But this one goes to check if Jojo exists in the data. If it doesn't exist, it will add it to the data with a default value of 0. Okay. And without these default values, it will return what? None. Okay. So these are the Python dictionary, the main things about Python dictionary you need to know. So at this moment, let me apply this to one problem. So let's say we have a problem. Let me say essay. Okay. So let's say we have a string. Let me go online and well. So let's say we have a string. So let me call some. Let me say short essay. Let me do examples. Oh, I want something. Okay, AI, tell me a short story. So I'm trying to extract what is this code flare, whatever. Cloud flare. So samples. Let me just. I want to copy some text. Okay, so let me copy this text. Okay, Control C. So when I copy these text, let me put it in between here. Control V. So we have a very long text here. Okay, which I downloaded from the. I just copied from the internet. Just a very long text. Now I want to write a code to count the number of times a word appeared. Okay, so how many times did off word appeared? How many times did component word appeared? How many times is what appeared? How many times is short appeared? How many times did essay appeared? How many times is there? How many times is standard? Do you get it? So how many times did they appear? So that's what I want to do. So the first thing we have to do is what? First, I'll just say essay is equal to what? Essay dot lower. Okay, I want to put all of them in lowercase, else there with a capital T. The computer will see this one as different from a lowercase t there. Okay, we'll see it different from a lowercase t there. So we need to put all of them in what? The same case, and so all of them in lowercase. Okay, then once I'm done putting all of them in lowercase, then I can say that words. Okay, the words in there is simply what? The essay dot what? Split, and I'm going to split it with a spacing. So when I split it, I'll get each word. Okay, so I've split them into words. Okay, then I create a dictionary of, let me say, word underscore count. So a dictionary of word count. So I say dict. Okay, I've created an empty or a fresh dictionary. Okay, so here we don't have append like we used to have in lists. We have get, or you can use the direct method. Okay, so here I can say if I do for I in words. Okay, so when I take word count and I put a square bracket, now the I will be the word. So when I put in the word, then I say equal to 1. So I say put in the key here inside the dictionary and assign it with a value of 1. Now what I'm doing is actually wrong. Okay, what I'm doing is actually wrong because it won't lead me anywhere, but I just want you to try it. So I say take the dictionary and put in the key. Okay, so let me write what I'm doing here. So here what I'm doing is dict name square bracket key and assign the key to a value of what? 1. Okay, to a value. Now if you run this code and you print word count, okay, if you are to print word count, you realize that all of them will have 1 1 1 1 1 1. So you realize that it says what? Component is 1, of is 1, is 1. All of them just appeared once. Then this part says semicolon 1 is 1 paragraph. I think it's inside the essay somewhere. Oh, okay, so let me remove this brackets. Thesis, main body, 3 paragraphs. Then conclusion, 1 paragraph. Okay, then helps, elaborate, easier, comprehend. Okay, so let me run it again. Now when we run it again, you realize that it says paragraph is what? 1, and paragraphs is also 1. But if you check inside, paragraph is 1, this paragraphs which is also 1, but paragraph appeared twice. But it says 1 because when we run the for loop, we've told the computer that anytime you pick the key, assign it to the value of 1. Now somebody will be like, okay, we have to increase it. Okay, so if you want to increase it, then you have to do, then the next strategy will be like, okay, so word count with a key inside. This one will go and get us the value. Okay, so this will get us the value. Then we can add 1 to it. So if let's say the value is 1, if it sees the same thing again, it should pick that value and add 1 to it and save it to that value again. But this is going to give us an error because in the first instance where the value doesn't exist, this one will become an error. So let's run it. When you run, we get an error. Okay, so it says error. The word what? Component doesn't exist. So component doesn't exist for us to extract it, and therefore we can't even add the value to it in order to save it. So somebody can use try and except. So try to add like something like this. So try, okay, to increase component, to pick the value of component, increase it by 1 and reassign it to component. You realize that this is similar to saying like age is equal to age plus 1. Okay, we are updating this variable. Okay, age is equal to age plus 1, as we've been doing before. So try doing this. If it fails, except, okay, except something like word count I. Since this one failed, it means that it's the first time it is occurring, so you start with 1. Okay, I think this one will be successful, but this is not the best way to do it. So when we run this, we are going to get, you'll see that 3 paragraphs appeared once and appeared twice. Okay, now the word paragraph with a full stop appeared what? Once. Then the word 1, the string 1 appeared twice, and essay with a full stop appeared twice. Okay, so we can even remove the full stops and those things so that we have something more nicer. So structure with a semicolon, then paragraph with thesis, all these um, we just remove them. Okay, so when I run this, here's what we get. So paragraph appeared 3 times. Okay, then essays appeared once, then have appeared once, then specific appeared once, structure appeared once, the number one appeared twice, end appeared twice. Okay, so some things we can see that some things are repeating. So instead of using this approach where we do try and accept, I'm going to use an alternative approach. Okay, I'm going to use an alternative approach. Let's see. So here I'm going to say that but word count I is equal to get, or let me say word count dot get me I. If I doesn't exist, start with 0. If it does, add 1 to it. So this becomes simple. So when I run this, it achieves the same results. Okay, so the 3 appeared once, paragraphs appeared 3 times. Okay, so this solves all this problem all at once. They are all doing the same thing, but realize that the get has made it far more easier to do so. So at this juncture, I'll end the class on Python dictionaries. Now try and familiarize yourself with the get method. You will use it a lot. Okay, you will use it a lot. But your project may not require you to use much of get. Okay, it may not require you to use much of get, but going forward, it's very good tool if you know how to use the get method. Okay, so any question in the comments? Any question in the comments? It's quite unfortunate, so please do well to like the videos for me. Do well to like the videos for me. So see you. I'll post your project. Then you can go ahead and do the project. So the class is closed. So like it for me. Just add some likes and let's do some few reactions. Then we are done. Okay, so today will be eviction. Okay, so people who have not been participating for the past 1 week, I'm going to spend some time to fish them out and remove them from the data so that the rest of you now become the serious squad. Then we can continue the class and finish it. So bye.